There's an infamous strategy in all of Pokemon that makes new players cower in fear. They are left absolutely dumbfounded. And who wouldn't? After all, how could their team of level 100 box art legendaries be destroyed by a level 1 Pokemon? Well, to answer that, we need to know the history of this strategy that is basically as old as modern competitive Pokemon. Why do new players cower in fear? Well, in this video, you'll find out.
That means I'm stupid?
In fact, we have a head start because the name of this strategy is F.E.A.R. Wait, what? What's F.E.A.R, and why would Rattata and later Aron be the poster children for it, as opposed to their evolutions? Well, to explain what F.E.A.R is, we need to go back to Gen 4 for a second. But before we start, protect yourself from the scary level 1 Pokemon thanks to this video sponsor, Surfshark VPN. Surfshark is a virtual private network app and browser extension that allows you to place your computer or phone virtually in any country as if you're actually there. Surfshark has 3,200 plus servers in 65 countries. And of course, being a VPN, Surfshark is able to mask your IP so that your data is encrypted and your privacy is secured whenever you're online. I personally use Surfshark whenever I'm traveling. For example, whenever I'm at the airport and I'm waiting for a layover, of course I'm gonna get bored, but yeah, I ain't logging into any sketchy public Wi-Fis. Who knows who could be lurking. Well, with Surfshark VPN, I just hit this button and now I'm safe to use the public Wi-Fi. And you already know I love using my VPN to get the most out of my Netflix subscription. And with a VPN like Surfshark, you aren't getting region locked anywhere. Just hit this button and boom, watch even more content in a different country by placing yourself in whatever country you want. And you can use one account on multiple devices. I personally have Surfshark on my phone, my tablet, and both of my PCs. So if you want a sick VPN and also support the channel to help us produce more content, you can click the link in the description below or use my promo code FALLSWIPE and get Surfshark VPN for 83% off and 3 extra months for free. In 2007, shortly after the North American release of Diamond and Pearl, a YouTuber named Marilyn shocked the world when his level 1 Rattata defeated a level 100 Empoleon. How was this possible? Well, the Rattata held a focus sash, meaning it survived any one hit as long as it was at full HP. Endeavor makes the target's HP the same as the user's, so long as the user's is lower. Thus, in this case, it brought Empoleon's HP down to 1. Finally, Quick Attack ensures even a level 1 Rattata will go first, and even the weakest attack will do a minimum of 1 HP. The notoriety of Rattata, of all things, being able to beat seemingly anything one-on-one, perfectly epitomized the seemingly endless strategic possibilities competitive Pokemon offered. That's where the name F.E.A.R comes from. It's an acronym that stands for Evil Annoying Rodents, after Rattata. The family-friendly version is Focus Sash Endeavor Quick Attack Rattata, but it doesn't quite capture the same frustration of not being able to KO a level 1 Pokemon. Other Pokemon have gone on to utilize the F.E.A.R strategy, which are decidedly not rodents, but the acronym has remained applicable to all of them in honor of the Pokemon which kickstarted the whole craze. The essence of the F.E.A.R strategy, whether it's Rattata, Aron, or anything else, is to turn the fact that the user is one-hit KO'd by everything into a tool for grabbing KOs. Though Rattata brought the strategy to the competitive world's attention, the truly defining method of using the strategy came in the form of Hail and the Clefable line's Magic Guard ability. Magic Guard was an enormous advantage over Rattata, as it ensured their sashes would not be broken by Stealth Rock or weather conditions. The Clefable line didn't pack priority, but that's what the Hail they were paired with was for, to finish off the Pokemon they brought down to 1 HP. By using all 3 of Clefable, Clefairy, and Cleffa, they would score 3 KOs on the opponent in this fashion, in conjunction with an early explosion KO from a Pokemon like Azelf or Metagross. This would weaken the opposing team to the point where another teammate like Machamp, Mamoswine, Jirachi, and Scarf Heatran or what have you would clean up. Even the Hail setting Abomasnow was a solid endgame Pokemon. When Generation 5 rolled around, the F.E.A.R strategy took on a new dimension. Sturdy was buffed to act as a built-in Focus Sash, thereby freeing up the item slot. Sturdy was also superb because unlike Focus Sash, it could be used multiple times. Once Sash was used, it was gone even if the user managed to heal back up to full HP. However, Sturdy would work over and over endlessly if the user managed to heal back to full. Here's where Aron came in, holding Shell Bell as his item. Shell Bell heals its user based on the damage it does. However, it's generally a terrible item because the damage it heals isn't anywhere near enough to make its use worthwhile. Definitely not reliably anyway. That is, unless you have a level 1 Pokemon using Endeavor against a level 100 Pokemon. Thus, a level 100 Pokemon would bring Aron down to 1 HP. Aron would Endeavor the level 100 Pokemon, and in doing so, would recover all of its HP. Thus, it'd be able to do this over and over. Of course, Endeavor only brings the opponent down to 1 HP, but just like the Clefable line in Gen 4, Aron would use weather damage to finish off its targets at 1 HP. This time, it was Sandstorm. Eventually, Aron was replaced or sometimes even paired up with level 2 Probopass. Level 2 instead of 1 since it needed to level up to evolve from Nosepass, which functioned perfectly the same, except it used Pain Split instead of Endeavor. This allowed it to defeat ghost types immune to Endeavor. Since Pain Split would also always bring a level 2 Probopass back to full HP, the need for Shell Bell was erased, and Probopass could use Leftovers, which in conjunction with Protect would negate Stealth Rock and thus ensure Probopass could still execute its strategy even if its team couldn't keep rocks off. This brand of Fear spam was a million times more irritating than that of Generation 4. At least against the Focus Sashers, you would take them down with you. However, in the right matchup, Aron and Probopass were effectively unkillable. You could throw an army of the strongest Pokemon around at them, like Latios, Keldeo, Thundurus, Therian, Volcarona, Dragonite, and yet you would never actually KO them. You'd bring them down to 1 HP, they'd Endeavor and KO you with Sand while healing back up to full, rinse and repeat until you found yourself not just losing a Pokemon, but getting swept by a level 1 or level 2 Pokemon. Beyond Aron and Probopass, there was another brand of Fear abuse in Generation 5. This one more in the vein of the Clefable line teams of Generation 4. It was Hail and Magic Guard abuse once again, except this time the Magic Guard Pokemon were the Reuniclus line. Solosis and Duoshin function just the same, except they also set up Trick Room, which made it even easier for its teammate to clean up at the end of the battle. Reuniclus was also particularly excellent in this role because it was itself a phenomenal Trick Room sweeper and thus gave the team more depth and threat potential overall. Sadly, Generation 5 was the last time Fear was a household name. Generation 6 removing permanent weather from the game was a cataclysmic death blow to the strategy and led to its complete disappearance. Of course, there were many other Pokemon that could fit the bill for Fear abuse in some way, shape, or form, whether it was Fear itself or setting up to enable Fear somehow. But these Pokemon such as Sock, Magnemite, and Cottonee were generally less reliable, which was not something you wanted considering how risky Fear was to begin with. Fear did attempt to make a comeback in Generation 7 with Togedemaru, as its sturdy Endeavor Shell Bell tactics would be followed up with Spiky Shield, which both guarded it against physical attacks and did the finishing point of damage necessary against the target it had brought to 1 HP on the previous turn. If it thought the opponent was wise to the possibility of Spiky Shield, it would finish them off with Toxic instead. And if the opponent switched out, it would still have left them at 1 HP and would be able to Endeavor the Pokemon that has switched into it as well. Of course, this was overtly specific, which is why Togedemaru wasn't nearly as notable or used nearly as much as its Fear-abusing predecessors. However, if we're going to talk about reliability in regards to Fear, of course Togedemaru was unreliable as a Fear user. So was every Fear user in the history of competitive Pokemon. It's one of the most unreliable strategies you could use. There is a reason it has just about never been seen in serious competitive play. It's not just a gimmick, it's a gimmick that even the most experimental, innovation-hungry players won't touch. There is just about no skill involved in using Fear, as whether it works or not is pretty much contingent on team matchup, a la Baton Pass. However, unlike Baton Pass, most teams were well equipped to take on Fear strategies. It was incredibly easy to disrupt it if you knew what was coming. It was extremely unlikely you would catch anyone remotely competent off guard with Fear, and since they wouldn't be caught off guard, it'd be dependent on whether or not they had the tools to deal with it, which most well-built teams did without even trying, regardless of which specific Fear strategy they were facing. Like what, you ask? Well, let's start with the one who started it all, Generation 4 Rattata. It's ruined by Stealth Rock and the ever-present Sandstorm. Furthermore, it has no way to hurt ghost types. Additionally, Pokemon with leftovers will beat it as well. Sure, it could bring Skarmory down to 1 HP, but then it gets its round of lefties and it's out of quick attack range. Well, what about Clefable line Hail? Well, that relied on maintaining Hail. Number 1, not easy when Tyranitar is so common. Number 2, they still can't hit ghost types. Number 3, if they face a Pokemon that can shut them down with sleep, they're toast. They are useless if they run into anything that isn't affected by hail, like Mamoswine or opposing Abomasnow and Clefable. Even if all 3 of Clefable, Clefairy, and Cleffa execute the strategy successfully, they still aren't anywhere near guaranteed to set up an endgame where his teammates can win. This same issue plagues the Generation 5 Reuniclus line variant of this strategy, except maintaining hail is even more difficult since if you're not competing with Tyranitar Sand, you're competing with Politoed's Rain. Oh, and there was also the fact that the Magic Guard, which made Reuniclus a staple of the strategy, also made it one of the best Pokemon around, and it completely stifled the whole affected by hail thing. As for Aron and Probopass, they similarly struggled with Reuniclus, but it went beyond that, and even beyond struggling against the prominence of Politoed's Rain. Their entire strategy relies on finishing opposing Pokemon off with Sandstorm, which is about the least reliable approach ever in a metagame so dominated with sand-immune Pokemon. Tyranitar, Ferrothorn, Heatran, Gliscor, Landorus, Excadrill, Garchomp, Terrakion, Skarmory, Gastrodon, Magnezone, Mamoswine, Jirachi, Scizor, Fortress. Yeah, have fun being literally incapable of KOing these. Sure, bringing them down to 1 HP was nice and all, but you could also do that with actual good Pokemon that could also actually finish the job and didn't have to walk on the eggshells to switch in safely under perfect conditions in the first place. Sure, Probopass could out-heal Stealth Rock and regain Sturdy with leftovers. Oh wait, Spikes went up and that's that. That was just one of approximately a million other things that could ruin the strategy. Oh, you got Scald Burn, so much for the eternally replenishing Sturdy. Oh, Substitute blocks Pain Split. Oh, Sub and Protect easily burn through Endeavor's measly 8 PP. The list goes on and on as if you needed anything beyond being invalidated by every sand-immune Pokemon in the tier. As such, you didn't use F.E.A.R if you were at all serious about winning. If the matchup wasn't incredibly unreasonably favorable, you would be out of luck, and there would be nothing you could do about it. It's the complete opposite of a play-intensive strategy. Most players don't want to have the game taken out of their hands like this. Now, while the F.E.A.R strategy doesn't hold any sort of serious competitive merit, let us appreciate the magic of why it exists in the first place. It beautifully illustrates, in perhaps the most outrageously maximalist manner possible, the innate possibility for creative strategies that draw so many of us to competitive Pokemon. After all, if a level 1 Pokemon can beat a level 100 Pokemon, anything's possible. And while you might not use F.E.A.R itself, you very well might take this mindset and infuse its can-do, inventive approach into different strategies. And you might just beat an Empoleon with a Rattata. And that's the end of the F.E.A.R section of this video, but we actually have a bonus section for you. You see, this month's Patron pick was almost won by Aron and lost by 1 vote to Cryogonal, so we basically use Aron as the runner-up as an excuse to talk about its most infamous strategy. But it does have one tier, it appears, where it actually is viable in that tier. That tier being DPP Little Cup. Aron was completely unimpressive throughout most of Generation 4 Little Cup, until Heart Gold and Soul Silver rolled around and gifted it the perfect blessing in Head Smash, which utterly destroyed any Little Cup Pokemon that didn't resist it, even the incredibly bulky Gligar and Munchlax, and did so without incurring Head Smash's usually whopping 50% recoil rate thanks to Aron's Rock Head ability. Now, Aron couldn't just freely go around spamming the move. Its weakness-laden typing in conjunction with subpar special defense and speed stats made sure of that. In fact, the fact that it couldn't go one-on-one with the majority of the tier and that its weak points were so readily exploitable by the metagame's best, most common Pokemon was what prevented it from being broken, destroying the tier utterly and going the way of Scyther. However, this isn't to say Aron was a victim of the Rampardos theorem, where its flaws were so great it found itself unable to utilize its enormous power, unable to find a niche. It had to be played carefully, but the rewards were among the greatest available in all of Little Cup. Aron could fix the issue of its speed with Rock Polish. All it needed was a free turn to set up, and this wasn't difficult to find. Now, yes, its typing had many significant weaknesses, as ground, fighting, and water are all bad ones to have, but it also had many valuable resistances. In Little Cup, the most valuable among these were its quadruple resist to normal and flying, as well as its resistance to ice. It could leverage these perfectly against Pokemon like Tailo or Scarfers like Snover or Chinchou, locked into ice moves to grab its Rock Polish. Alternatively, it could grab one on a predicted switch against the aforementioned Munchlax, which would run from it in terror, and once it got its speed boost and could no longer be revenge killed killed by most Pokemon, which would check it otherwise, Aron was one of the most terrifying lights-out sweepers in the tier, with neither Scarfers nor priority like Houndour's Sucker Punch capable of stopping it. If you didn't have Bronzor or the priority of Vacuum Wave Krogunk in the back, it was quite likely that Aron would just crush your entire team when you no longer had the tool of outspeeding it, provided Head Smash didn't miss anyway. Furthermore, Bronzor and Krogunk were both easily removed by Aron's favorite partner, Why Not. Given its difficulty of use though, Aron was the epitome of high risk, high reward. However, even if it didn't sweep, it could still reliably inflict huge damage and almost certainly grab 1 KO on the opponent by virtue of its incredible trait of switching into the stab of and proceeding to force out the best Pokemon in the tier, Munchlax. But after Generation 4, each new Little Cup metagame was hostile to Aron to the point of becoming completely inhospitable for it, what with Pokemon like Ferroseed and Mienfoo running around everywhere. So unfortunately, we don't have any more sections to make an actual how good was Aron actually video. However, as we discussed earlier, that wasn't the last of Aron to be seen in competitive Pokemon. That would be in Generation 5 OU of all places, where it used the F.E.A.R strategy. Thanks for watching, everyone. And as always, if you liked the video and you want to see more, be sure to subscribe to Fall Swipe Gaming for more weekly Pokemon content. And in the comments, I want to know, what do you think about the F.E.A.R strategy? Have you ever been cheesed by it before? Be honest. Whatever it is, let me know in the comments. Also, thank you so much to our patrons for continued support of our videos. And thank you to everyone else watching as well. And follow my crew on these social media platforms. And that's all I got. See you next time, everyone.